as a good friend. The next chance will go to the member for Ugenya, Honorable Ochin.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much for this opportunity. Madam Speaker, all governments over the world get defined by the things that they do during the time they've been given by the citizens to govern. Governments come to power with their own plans. And this government, Madam Speaker, has decided that this is one thing that they will rise or fall with, that they will make sure that they dignify and humanize the way Kenyans live, that they will ensure that Kenyans are able to get houses that are habitable, houses that dignify them, regardless of how much they earn in their place of work, Madam Speaker. And that's why, Madam Speaker, I want to support this bill, Madam Speaker, because affordable housing is a real issue in this country, Madam Speaker. If you go around the country, it's just not in the slums, it's all over the country. The houses people live in, Madam Speaker, you go to some places in Nyanza, some places in the coast, they are not fit for human habitation. And that's why you are saying, Madam Speaker, that government is required by law to ensure that the housing system that's in the country supports dignified lives under Article 25 of the Constitution, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, number two, the reason this housing program is very important is to help stimulate the construction industry in this country, Madam Speaker. We need to ensure that the housing industry is able to support jobs. And before I go far, Madam Speaker, I want to tell my friend, the Honorable Mbui, that we are not looking at mijengo jobs. Madam Speaker, the housing industry starts with steel, cement, it goes all the way to timber. It is not mijengo jobs of 2 days, 3 days, Madam Speaker. It is a whole industry, Madam Speaker. And that's why, Madam Speaker, I want to say that one thing that we as MPs must do is to ensure that this housing, affordable housing fund is able to help us give rise to industries that will come because of the housing sector boom. Madam Speaker, I say this because in the last 8 years, Madam Speaker, we spent 500 billion shillings, Madam Speaker, to build a railway line, but without a single town, without a single industry, without a single city being built on the wake of 500 billion shillings, Madam Speaker. When we built the railway line, Madam Speaker, when we did the railway line, we were importing cement, we even imported sand because we allowed Chinese to bring here prefabricated rolling stock, we allowed Chinese to bring bolts and nuts, we allowed Chinese to bring everything, Madam Speaker. And so I want to request those who will be in charge of implementing this housing fund that, first of all, we must ensure that the procurement is done right. Madam Speaker, personally I've had an issue with the way we've gone implementing this housing scheme so far, because we want to have your Kali sector benefit from this housing scheme. We want to have our own industries benefit from this scheme, Madam Speaker. And we cannot go to launch a housing scheme in Homa Bay, and we have not prepared the Juakali sector there to prepare the hinges, the doors, the windows, Madam Speaker. You cannot go launching them in Mombasa, and you've not prepared the Juakali there to. Madam Speaker, I support this bill, but I believe that sequencing is going to be key to ensure that the gains that we're going to make in the housing boom goes to the common management, Madam Speaker. Number two, Madam Speaker, the biggest issue today in the country is, do we have a framework for equitable distribution and allocation of these houses, Madam Speaker? And I want to lead with the majority leader because this is important to me. The question that's being talked about by Honorable Ndai and Honorable Mbui, we should provide solutions. If you believe that this bill currently does not provide for a way of getting Mamamboga and Bodaboda getting houses, let's write it in the law. Let's put a quota for them. And I'm going to convince the majority leader that we must have a quota under Part 4. Let's have a quota for those kind of people, Madam Speaker. Honorable Ichunga, I hope
Honorable Ocheng, Honorable Wandai has a point of order. What is out of order?
Actually, I didn't intend to interrupt my good friend and neighbor, Honorable Ocheng, but I really want to understand whether he's in order for him to direct his address to us, I and Honorable Robert Mbui, and to demand that we provide solutions to the affordable housing crisis. Honorable Speaker, is that conceivable? Is that really conceivable? Honorable Speaker, can you rule him out of order?
Honorable Cheng, did you address the honorable
Speaker,
member for Ugenya, for Uguja?
Madam Speaker, that is what a responsible position does. It doesn't just oppose for the sake. A position that is responsible provides solutions. We don't just say this is wrong. You tell us how to do it right. And in this bill, I believe that instead of saying that there's no place for Mamboga and Boda, tell us how to improve it. And I'm going to talk to the majority here, Madam Speaker, that we provide under Part 4 quotas. We must have the quotas for those Bodas. You must have the quotas for the Mambogas. You must have a provision that says that if 100 houses are built in a place, 40 of them will go to Mamboga or Bodas. We must have that in the law. That's the way to go. You don't just say it's wrong and you keep quiet. You say it's wrong and provide solutions on how this can be done. Now, Speaker, all over the world, we've talked about Singapore, we've talked about Taiwan and Malaysia. These countries grew on the back of housing booms. What's going to mess our housing program, Madam Speaker, for me, is corruption. It's corruption. That's what we're talking about. To ensure that these big projects are going to be corruption-free, Madam Speaker. We can make a good law in this parliament, but if you don't follow up with implementation and ensure that things are done the right way, Madam Speaker, will not go anywhere. And that's why I believe that I will propose an amendment to this bill on a section for procurement. We'll not leave this to procurement laws. We'll make a provision on how we'll procure the materials to be used for this concern, Madam Speaker. We don't want people lying to us that we bought cement at Portland or we bought cement at Savannah and they're importing the cement. We will ensure that timber being used is bought locally. We'll ensure that everything being used in these programs are locally sourced. For me, Madam Speaker, those are things that I expect my colleagues to talk about. How do we ensure that this becomes one of the systems, one of the programs that are able to make sure that we get money through Buy Kenya, Build Kenya? Madam Speaker, I will not keep quiet. If we are going to be launching houses and we are importing cement, I will not keep quiet if we are going to be launching houses and we're importing timber. I will not keep quiet if you're going to be launching houses and we're importing steel. All of this must be sourced locally for what the President has promised to come to fruition. Let's ensure that for once, Madam Speaker, we do this in a manner that creates jobs systematically. If we source timber locally, the timber industry grows. If you source cement locally, the cement industry grows. If you source steel locally, the steel industry grows. If you source the technology locally, you transfer that and the industries grow, Madam Speaker. That's what I would require to see happening. Madam Speaker, Kenyans are concerned about the possible favoritism in distribution of these houses and allocation. And that's why, Madam Speaker, we must have a proper system that does not involve human intervention. And I'm happy that this president and this government has decided that they're going to digitize things. Majority Leader, I want to request you, let's digitize the allocation of these houses. Let this not be about someone sitting somewhere and saying that so-and-so gets, so-and-so doesn't get. Let's have a way, even if it's a lottery or a coupon system, let's ensure that we avoid things that will make this not work, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the communities that are giving their lands, the communities giving their lands for these projects, Madam Speaker, must also be looked into. If you are building houses in Ugenya, you must tell us that out of these 100 houses, at least you put aside 20 for people from Ugenya. If you are building houses in Madare, you must ensure that we are providing 50% of these houses for Madare people, Madam Speaker. This is a serious project for the President. It must succeed. I don't succeed if there's discipline. If you follow the law to the letter and how we're going to implement this, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've looked at who are represented in the board that is being proposed, Madam Speaker. And I'm going to again plead to the Majority Leader that in that board, we must have a person from the Juakali sector. In that board. In that board, get a person from from KEPSA, guys who sell these materials for construction. Let's not just have FKE and KOTU. Let's have the Juakali sector who are supposed to benefit from this so that they also represent, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to plead to those doing these projects. We cannot be demolishing good houses to build better houses. We have to negotiate. You can't go to Kakamega, demolish houses are built 2-3 days ago. Go to Bungoma, demolish houses are built 2-3. These are, people have not done anything wrong. Talk to them. Agree with them that yes, we want to build a bigger thing here. We can't allow Chinese to be building very serious things in Kileleshwa interfering with their planning, and then you go to Bungoma, Kakamega, and demolish. Let's do this in a humane manner. Let's make this work for Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. Madam Speaker, where Kenyans have concerns, let's address them, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to finish by saying this, that
30 seconds, wind up.
I've heard people talk about people contributing money and they don't get house. Madam Speaker, there are those who pay their taxes, which we use to pay school fees for our kids. They have no kids. There are those who pay their taxes, which we use to run the health system. They have not become sick. They don't go to hospital, Madam Speaker. So an argument that because you're not going to get a house, you shouldn't be taxed, Madam Speaker, is wrong. There are people who have paid money for school fees and bursaries. They have no kids. So this is social housing. We as a country must carry each other along. We cannot say that because I can't pay for what I will not need. Now, Speaker, our humanity, our ubuntu-ness, our belongingness requires that those who have help those who don't have acquire, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to wish the President well in this particular program and request Parliament that let's keep our eyes open. When our people give money for this project, it must be used for the right reason. Corruption must not be allowed in this project. Madam Speaker, I support and thank you.
Before we give the next person, allow me to interrupt the business of the House to order number 5 on papers. And honorable members, I will